Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. In this video, we're going to explore the relationship between trauma and addiction. Trauma and addiction are closely linked, but many people don't realize just how deep this connection could be. Our goal today is to help raise awareness about the importance of this topic. So let's get started. Trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience that overwhelms a person's ability to cope. This can include things like physical or sexual abuse, neglect, natural disasters, accidents, or other types of violence or trauma. Trauma can have a profound impact on a person's mental and emotional well-being. It can also have physical consequences such as chronic pain or illness. One of the most significant ways in which trauma can impact a person's life is through addiction. Trauma can be a major risk factor for addiction, and people who have experienced trauma are more likely to develop problems with drugs or alcohol. There's many reasons for this, but one of the key factors is that trauma can impact the brain's reward system, making drugs or alcohol more appealing as a way of coping with the pain and distress of trauma. Trauma can have a profound impact on the brain. When a person experiences trauma, their brain can go into overdrive, flooding the body with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Over time, this can lead to changes in the brain structure and function, making it more difficult for individuals to regulate their emotions, control their impulses, and cope with stress. This can make them more valuable to addiction. This can make them more vulnerable to addiction. There are several types of addiction that are commonly linked to trauma. Those include alcoholism, drug addiction, gambling addiction, sex addiction, and eating disorders. All these types of addictions can be ways of coping with pain and distress of trauma, and they can particularly be difficult to overcome without addressing the underlying trauma. Fortunately, there are treatments available for both trauma and addiction. When treating trauma and addiction, it's important to address both issues simultaneously as they are closely linked. Treatment may include medications to help manage symptoms of trauma and addiction, as well as behavioral therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy or trauma-focused therapy. It's also important to create a supportive environment that promotes healing and recovery. Not all trauma can be prevented, but there are steps that individuals and communities can take to reduce the risk of trauma and addiction. This includes creating safe and supportive environments for children and families, promoting mental and emotional well-being, and providing resources and support for those who've experienced trauma. So there you have it. The relationship between trauma and addiction is complex, but it's important to understand the deep connection between these two issues. If you or someone you know is struggling with trauma or addiction, there's help available. I hope this video helps to raise awareness about important issues like this, trauma and addiction. We encourage everyone to seek support if they need it. If you want help, or if you need help, or if you know somebody that does, share this video with them. Feel free to message me, hit the link in my bio if you need some extra support or if you need help finding treatment that's the best for you. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next week.